Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how I make album covers like this in Adobe Photoshop and how you can make the same thing at home. I've included links to all the resources, images and fonts that I've used here in the description below, so you should be able to follow along at home. One thing to note is that I'm using Photoshop 2021 to make this, but I don't think there would be a huge problem if you were using a version from even a few years ago. So let's get started. First thing I want to do is file new and create a new Photoshop document. We want our width to be 3000 pixels. We want our height to be 3000 pixels. We want our resolution to be 300. Color mode, we'll keep it RGB. The background color doesn't really matter because we're changing it a lot, but we'll stick with white for now. Once we've got all that in place, we'll click create. Okay, so this is going to be our base. So the first thing we want to do is get this background image in place. I've included a link to the image in the description, but it's a free one from Unsplash. Let's drag that in. Okay, cool. So now we've got this in place. It's time to sort of make it a little freaky and trippy, kind of like this image. As you can see, the main focus here is like this stretched, elongated mouth, which is a really cool effect and also really, really simple. So we've got our image in place here. We're going to go to this tool here, rectangular marquee, or just press M on your keyboard. And we're going to drag out a rectangle, sort of a thin one like that. Let's drag that out about in the middle of her mouth. Somewhere about here. So now we've got our rectangle in place. We're going to press Ctrl J on our keyboard. And what that does is just duplicates that. So we've still got our original image here just fine, but we also got a segment of the face duplicated. On our duplicate segment, on this layer here, we're going to press Ctrl T or Command T to transform it. And then we just want to drag it down, just like that. And there we go. If you look kind of a little closely, you will see there's kind of a real kind of stretching effect going on. And that's not quite as prominent here on the main image once we're finished with all the kind of color distortions. But yeah, so we've got our stretched face. Let's hold down Shift and click on this second layer to select them both. And let's just sort of press Shift and transform it so it's a little bigger so we can fill up more of the canvas. I'm going to try and put it let's go about in the center. That's about it. Cool, so now we've got this in place. It's time to sort of mess with our coloring. To do that, it's pretty simple. We click on this half circle in the corner here and we click on gradient map. Now my gradient maps might look a bit different to you. I have quite a few downloaded, but that's okay. You can easily follow along and I can help you out. But yeah, so from here, it's just a matter of sort of looking through them and choosing which ones we kind of like. Like that's a cool one. One thing to note is that if you get one like this, which looks good, but it's not quite as inverted as this one. You see the hair's lighter here, where it's darker here. To sort of fix that, you click on reverse here. And that will sort of make it look a little freakier, which is what we want. So yeah, it's just a matter of kind of scrolling through until we find something that we really like. Again, if you settle on one that looks nice, but it's not inverted, you just click on reverse. This is a fun one. Yeah, kind of like that. So once we have our coloring in place, if you're totally happy with it, you can just move on to the next step. But if you want to change things around a little, you click on the half circle again, click on levels, and this is going to let us make our blacks blacker and our lights kind of lighter. So if we do that, we can sort of mess with the image even more and do some kind of weird things with it. Let's try and go a little bit darker. Yeah, let's try and go a little darker. Yeah, cool. So now we've got this in place. We're pretty close to the end, but if you look at this one here that I made earlier, you see there's like this texture and grain and noise over the whole thing. I'm going to show you how we can put that in. So to include that noise, you're going to drag in these two images that I've linked in the description. They're both from Texture Fabric. This first one is like a hair or dust and grime. And this second one is a sort of favorite of mine. This is like a photocopied paper, a kind of Xerox paper. So now I've got both of these on our Photoshop document. Press Shift and click on them both so they're both highlighted. And let's Control T and we'll just turn it around 90 degrees and then sort of bump up the size a little so it fills the whole canvas. Now, here's when we can kind of do some fun stuff. With both the layers sort of still selected and grayed out, we're going to click here to mess with our blending modes and we can sort of cycle through them. I find the best ones to use for this project is something like Lighten or Screen, Overlay, Soft Light, and Exclusion. Today, let's stick with Lighten. I kind of like it's a little more subtle, that one. And you see, that means like the whitest parts of the image kind of show up, which is these nice bits here. If you have your blending mode set to lighten, if you still think it's a little too obvious, you can sort of go to the opacity and drag that down. 50% is usually a good amount. And again, you can sort of mess around with all these different layers. Like I said, I usually use Lighten, Screen, Overlay, and Soft Light. But you can sort of try any of the others if you want to get some sort of really weird effects. But yeah, let's stick with Lighten for now. Cool, so now we've got our coloring in, our image in, our sort of stretched face, and our texture. The next thing to do is add some text. The font I'm using is a font called Ammonite. I'll link that in the description below. I think it works really well on albums like this. It sort of reminds me of kind of like Post Malone stuff. I don't know if a similar one is used on sort of his albums. It is a lowercase only font, meaning as soon as you try and put like an uppercase, it'll then default. But let's stick with lowercase, and I call this one shadowed. We'll call this one, again, let's make sure I'm on the right one. Let's call it heavily. Again, this is sort of all up to you. To get it in the center of the page, like I did just then, all you want to do is make sure you're on the layer with the text on. Press Control or Command A. That selects everything on the layer, and then make sure you're clicking on Move tool at the top, and then right at the top, just below sort of your toolbar, there's these little icons. Click the middle one here that aligns it horizontally, so it's in the exact horizontal, and this one aligns it vertically, so it's in the exact vertical. So here it's right in the middle of the page. It's kind of looking good like that. And again, once you know this sort of technique, you can use it to create something like this, or you can use it to create something sort of entirely different. Like I said, I've used it for album covers here, but you could use it in book covers or zine covers or kind of personal artwork. I think it's a really cool sort of like trippy effect, and it works especially well on this image with the screaming mouth, but you could also try it on different images. I've tried it on other things before, and it's sort of come out nicely as well. So yeah, everything I use will be linked below, so you should be able to follow along. If you have any questions or comments, you can sort of hit me up in the comments here or on my Twitter or Instagram, which I'll link below. And yeah, if you make anything using this tutorial, I'd love to see it. And let me know other tutorials. If there's anything you want to see me show you, I'd definitely be up for hearing it. Anything you want to know, if I know it, I'd be happy to share. But I think that's everything for today.